All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Owarimonogatari, Season 2, Episode 5.
Guys,
Aragi-san,
this is...
I need your help.
This is going to be a ride.
Yeah,
Ogi's asked for help, and
I'm very excited.
Aragi will oblige.
I think so too. So...
He got to have his day.
Yeah.
And that was wonderful.
It was fantastic. It was the sweetest thing ever.
It's time to end this.
And I think this feels like it's gonna go pretty well, because even though Ogi's saying that made me really be like, I don't like this.
Right.
You know, acceptance and balance and stuff is the name of the game with Ogi, I think.
Yes.
So this could be good. Like, this could be good, but then what does this mean for the final confrontation?
Well, it's partially a thing of where once they actually like have a confrontation, what part, if any, do non-Araragi Ogi parties have to play at all? That's where
especially
things can
Gain,
get
like
crazy.
Oh man,
crazy.
I'm hoping that if there is a a fight sequence or whatever, which of course if there is probably won't be the main focus, but that we get some awesome Shinobu action, because she's in her full kiss shot form, and just saying, like if it was a crazy reversal and we had to fight Gain or something, I think Shinobu would oblige. So yeah.
But y'all, this, I can't wait. So without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, we're going to be starting the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Chapter 1.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Okay.
This track is so sad. Because of Ogi.
But now loss. Whoa. Past tense, yeah. Okay. But I have to grow up. Whoa.
Ogi was introduced when Hachikuji disappeared, and talking about that. There were definitely some funny moments.
But it also could be like the play, type of comedy, story structure-wise. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And should?
Yeah, This is like a requiem for Ogi.
Seems like. Which was hilarious.
Okay.
Oh yeah, new opening, but but for Ogi.
Mirrors.
Yeah, reflections going in reverse. Shadows.
But yeah, no like details.
Ooh,
cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's so awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, all about me. Yeah. Yeah, they're right. Oh, that was cool. It was like it reversed itself there. Wow.
Oh man, I love the visuals of this, and the impression it gives is something so completely different than what I expected a confrontation like this would be, or...
Wow.
Oh,
Our story.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Dang.
The you I don't know.
This is awesome. Ogie Dark.
All
Ogie
right.
Dark.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Back
here.
here.
Hey. Hey.
Oh.
Hey, hey.
I love it.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of baseball
that's
game
incredible.
is this? Oh. Oh.
Okay. Now you're the one getting swung around.
Oh. Jesus. Yeah.
Baraki.
Ah. Ah. Oh. All these lovely characters together is so good.
Yeah. Taking over the job of Guardian.
That smug,
Yeah.
condescending look. Gotcha. Okay. Oh. Oh, Aragi.
Really? How?
Briefing time. All right.
Wow. God, I love it.
That's amazing. This assemblage of characters. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, get everybody here. Oh. Ha.
Last few days. Oh, the seal.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then just, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Right.
Unknown.
Oh.
Okay.
Right.
Well, Shinobu happened. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, wait, but was it originally for a snake god or whatever? Right. Right.
Yep. Oh, nice, nice. How convenient that
Right.
Shinobu would be there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so Ogi's the water snake.
Yeah, essentially the whole duality aspect is being
Right.
focused
So
on
maybe
here.
that's why. Well, okay. Huh.
Right. Because of the lack of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm tracking.
Because there were two snakes originally on Nautico. Maybe that's connected. Oh.
Yeah.
Right, but then you showed up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, this music.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Inside your heart. Oh.
Right. Wait.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So he kind of just skipped over the whole Shinobu thing, yeah.
But yeah, in this state, that's a good point. She does need to eat.
Yeah. All
What if
right.
Hachikuji became the god? Right. It's... Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yep. Definitely. Oh.
Right.
Oh.
So.
Oh boy. Had been. Right. She provides an alternative.
Right. Guiding people and everything.
Ah, proper successor. Cool. Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. How would that be worse?
Yeah, why would that be bad? Right.
So we're actually protecting her by doing this. Yeah. Wow. I love that art. That was good. And you get what you want as well.
Yep.
And then Araragi gets to protect her. Yeah. The air spot.
What about Shinobu?
No. Whoa. Like, whoa.
Wait.
Whoa. Whoa.
Okay. All right.
Oh my god, okay.
That is some great wordplay.
Yeah. 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 I got
Kami-mashita. Oh my god. I wondered about that. I wondered about that.
Ah. Nah, none of that. Whoa. Hachikuji is best girl 100%.
But what about Shinobu?
Whoa. Yeah, I saw that coming.
Oh my god. Wow.
Wow, that was amazing.
That's fantastic.
Oh my god, this is so fun. Yeah. There you go, Guyn.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's also... She totally has been the snake, too.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Cool.
Okay.
But at that point, all right, Aragi's gonna have the veil lifted. Awesome.
Oh.
Wow. All right.
And the way that
So
Shinobu
now we're getting
was...
this whole thing basically just confirmed all in front of us here.
But Hachikuji's becoming the god.
I know.
Because Kami-mashita, there was that part of me that was like, they're bringing up this, this god stuff, but Kami-mashita, it's like, but okay, so Shinobu wanting to go back to being a little girl. Like, because then she doesn't have to be a vampire. She doesn't have to kill people or anything. Like, it's great. But then also, she's holding on to Araragi here, which is sweet because it's like, it's the hug and everything, and that she's the big one now, right?
Right. I'll protect you.
But it's also potentially a thing of if Ogi is the problem and Ogi's a part of you, I'm holding you.
Yeah.
I am, keeping you where you are.
Yeah.
But like,
this episode was amazing. We got basically the double confirmation on a lot of things, but basically we're able to see things from the perfect perspective, essentially, of Gain. Because she's basically dealing only in facts and then asking clever questions to bring about, factual information. Okay. All right, y'all.
So,
Monogatari.
Yeah.
Let's go. This was an amazing episode.
I could have worn either shirt and it would have been.
It would have. In some ways, I actually think the Hachakuji shirt would have been better.
Would have maybe been a little bit better because she's becoming a god now. And Kami-mashita. Like,
yeah, that's amazing. That's just good comedy, actually.
Oh, yeah, it's comedy.
Comedy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, I love that so much because it's a great way to have Hachakuji stick around because that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, she gets brought back, but like, how do you make it so that she stays and we don't just have to say goodbye again because that would suck. And then there's the whole thing of, well, yeah, Shinobu, she's in this form right now, but that's a good point. Even though she's changed as a person since Kizu, she still needs to eat to live right now. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That is an issue. I want to be a little girl again.
Yeah. I want to know how they're going to fulfill that wish,
I don't know.
That's going to be a really big deal. Like in some ways, I have to wonder if that means then that someone is not getting their wish here of the four main parties involved here.
That's what I'm worried about.
I'm not counting Yotsugi in this case here, and in some ways I'm also not counting Ogi.
Okay,
but I really would love to have a full happy ending for all the characters and stuff, and I believe we can do that, and I think that's what Gain's goal, I would say, primarily is that at the very least she gets help from all these other people in order to have her main goal be met. So that makes sense that we're dealing with her first kind of primary goal of import that she's kind of had throughout the show done with first. Let's deal with the enshrining a new god, Hachakuji, of course.
And
it's perfect.
The bit with the shrine and the two snakes and everything, and it's like, okay, cool. Because I was always kind of confused by all of the sort of snake aesthetic that Ogi had going for her, even though Nadeko was the one that had the snake connection, So it's like, how are those two things reconciled? And it's, no. There were two shrines, two different snake gods, and Ogi was the water one, and then there was the mountain one, which is a different one. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I like it. Sweet.
So in this respect, I feel like the symbolism gets into some interesting stuff here that I don't really have the perfect picture of with regards to some of the things in Araragi's story, but I can track with the history lore of the town world that they've set up for Monogatari here. But what I believe this is pointing towards then is that Araragi has essentially enshrined multiple beings, if you will, multiple aberrations or, monsters. And it's time to either be shrineless Araragi. I mean, sorry, to have no gods, no to be put back into balance, if you will. But right now, he's essentially enshrined Ogi. Like, that's his current thing right now. Shinobu is not going to take Ogi's place or something like that.
Right.
That just doesn't fit in terms of where things are going. So in this respect, it's what is necessary in order to have Araragi essentially have a proper successor in this regard here. There must always be a, you know, like an element of Araragi being, I don't know. I don't know how to word this or something. But,
well, let's unpack that idea a little bit more, just to make sure that, you know, viewers are on the same page, because you made the connection that that Ogi destroyed the shrine that was Ogi's, or sorry, Shinobu destroyed the shrine that was Ogi's when she came and hit the lake, right?
And essentially, but Ogi isn't a thing in the lore. Like Ogi just has to be like some kind of thing more connected to Araragi. I'm meaning more the idea that there was a god before at the point of the shrine there. And Shinobu came in like a
meteor and
and just shifted things up for a bit, but it led towards a blessing and benefit to the land. Even though it was a harsh transition, I think what the history of the town is a thematic representation of what Araragi's story has been. Ogi, I don't believe the name, you know, Oshino Ogi, I think is kind of irrelevant.
Right, and I think Gein mentioned that it was sort of a placeholder.
It's a name of convenience, a placeholder, if you will. I think that Araragi's story has been about basically needing to be filled with something that is going to lead towards him maturing and growing and finding
it's a
more
coming of
balance
age
in his
story.
life.
Yeah,
right.
Last year in high school.
And before things were going on in Kizu, he wasn't in balance. Things were not going that well.
Right.
We know a little bit more about where things had, you know, kind of gone awry over the course of his, you know, his past and stuff since
with Oikura and things like that.
Stuff.
Yep.
So Shinobu bumping into his life is kind of like a meteor coming into his lake.
Right. Yes.
And just going, just blowing it up.
Right. And then there's a surprise benefit as a result of a catastrophic violent event.
Right. In that he gets companionship. He gets a close friend, a bosom friend, someone that will be with him through everything.
Literally.
Despite the fact that there are a lot of awkward aspects about the relationship.
Vampirism, for instance.
Yeah, sure. It changes him in a really dramatic way, and he's reeling from that change. However, things eventually start to go
Get better or more stable?
Right. Things, I would say, start to move in that direction, but in the story of what's going on with the town and the lore and stuff, they then end up moving the shrines and shifting everything around based on that. So I think that's more of relating to the idea that Araragi eventually has to have some sort of a split within the aspect of
within himself. Right, and that's something that has already happened in one sense, because he has died. Shinobu is separate from him, you know, and I'm guessing there's going to be another split with Ogi, right? And that whole thing. Cool, awesome. And then because like Monogatari is one of those shows where, because the lore is so, like, there's so much of it, and you know that it's relevant to what's happening, but like I personally don't always see the connections between the lore and the character stuff that's happening in the present, right?
Right.
Because it's complicated. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how much of it is a literal connection versus a thematic.
I don't even think you have to go into any kind of the literal stuff. I feel like literal stuff in general is where you get too focused on it being only a specific thing rather than it having connections to other things. And that is just the idea that Araragi is essentially a shrine. That's just kind of, I would say, the easy connection that you can make between what he's been for Shinobu in a lot of cases, just a safe place where to find home, you know,
right? The powerful being resides.
It works. It works really well. But when we think about Araragi growing up and becoming a man and moving on from Ogi
into the next stage of life,
I look at it as basically saying he needs to empty his shrine. He needs to no longer basically have himself have to tie what he is as, you know, just a person to any, you know, specific god, if you will.
Right.
And I think that in a lot of respects, Ogi is in some ways like a shadow god. She is someone that Araragi is basically like listening like really intently to. Like anytime Ogi shows up, Araragi just kind of shuts up and listens and kind of absorbs everything that she's saying, even though she's, you know, echoing his thoughts, answering his internal questions. There's so much of this that is basically just baked into her being an extension of Araragi. So when you grow up, basically, and this is what I think the beginning of this episode was pointing at, Araragi kind of having a little bit of a requiem for Ogi, of being like past tense related stuff that
kill the boy that the man may live. Something has died in that sense.
Yeah, something needs to basically be let go of so that I can move on into whatever my future is.
Right.
And yet there does need to be proper acknowledgement and
of what
I
happened
would say
and what was lost. Yeah.
Well, what was gained.
Okay.
What Araragi brought up was that the present only exists because of Ogi. Ogi, in some ways, is that part of Araragi that has kind of covered for him, protected him, and made it possible that Araragi would end up here. But it's too black and white, if you will, to say that Ogi is solely responsible for that or is the only influence in that. And that's where all these other characters and friendships and connections come into play.
Hence his whole thing about it was, you know, a hellish time, but I think I'll have to, when I tell the story, I'll have to tell it with a smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a should, if you will. And then Ogi shows up in his mind of like what she would say of like, probably should, like, you know, kind of the thing of well, like, you know, be certain about this, but you don't need to make it into like a should kind of thing.
Right. This is a very, you know, this is
a
very particular way of saying it.
Right.
You
This
know?
is an important time in your life, so you tell it however you want, but like. Just acknowledge that it was important. You don't need to make sure you say it a specific way.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that really blows me away about Monogatari and Nisio's writing, is that I'll get a sense of where I think the story's going based on, you know, foreshadowing and things that have been set up and whatnot. And yet we can have chunks of the story like this episode where the thing that I was expecting would happen in the episode hasn't actually happened, and more than that, we get more knowledge about how it's going to happen. Like so from the previous episode, it's like Ogi asking for help, right? It's like, okay, then Aragi's going, surely this is going to be the beginning of that confrontation with Ogi,
and it is.
And
it's just not started yet.
But it hasn't started yet, right?
Yeah, it's the prelude.
Right. And we get all of this additional information about the, you know, like contextual stuff and, you know, and things about the shrines and the water snake and all of that. And, you know, Hachikuji becoming a god and all the things that they need to do in order to make this work. And yet I still feel like I have more questions than answers.
I think this was all about answers, though. That's the thing, though. This is for other people's stories, though. There are other characters that need to have resolutions here to their journeys. Hachikuji is basically just
the main
clearly defined out here, but Gain as well. Gain's goals specifically here with regards to resolving like what's been her whole mission. Like the only reason why she's involved in the story in that regard was because, you know, there was some stuff out of whack here and needed
restore
to be
balance.
Restored, yeah.
And well, that's basically it. And by doing that, you know, in order to do that, get a new god and exterminate Oshino Ogi.
Right, because one of the things that's maybe becoming a little bit black and white, if you will, is that if it came down to a disagreement regarding what people wanted here, Araragi could maybe just win in some kind of a conflict here.
I mean, he's got Shinobu with him.
He's got Shinobu with him. Who could actually stop Shinobu in this group? Maybe Gain would have some stuff planned. Maybe she'd have reinforcements and stuff. So her kind of dancing around the issue here seems to be that if Ogi is the main problem, it's because of the fact that she has all this influence on Araragi, who has all this influence on other really powerful people in the story, like Shinobu, for instance.
Hence Gein's lines from before of like, oh, you think you don't have any responsibility for the stuff that happens, Araragi? Yeah.
So in this aspect, yeah, Araragi needs to exterminate. Just feels like such a strong word given with Suruga Devil. I still don't think that it's going to end like that.
I don't think so either, and I think that's something that Araragi is basically saying it's not going to go that way, given that he said, really? Exterminate? You know, like...
Well, that was based on him still not understanding her nature. And this is part of the thing that I think is... one of the things that Araragi is still maybe being held back a little bit by the state that he's in whenever he's going over this kind of info regarding Ogi, because it feels like at times he becomes more aware of who or what Ogi is. And then sometimes we're shown things which might be outside of the timeline of what's going on, like that stuff in the beginning of the episode. That might be just, you know, all past this.
Sure. I'm guessing that's what it was.
Yeah, that's something from the future.
Because it was after Ogi is gone, so there you go.
Right. So, you know, whether or not Ogi is exterminated in the typical sense, or Ogi is basically understood, and therefore she no longer has to be, she no longer has any power essentially over you.
Yeah, it's something where the fact that Gein said regular old aberration, you know, a monster, right? Well, what's Araragi's track record with monsters and aberrations doesn't exactly go the extermination route. And he's dealt with quite a few of them by now. So the fact that Gein is sort of expecting that this will happen, or well, no, she's saying that this is what she wants to happen.
Right.
And the fact that we don't fully know how choices in certain areas affect the other choices that will need to be made. So like Hachikuji being a god, it's like, great. But then it's like, what ends up happening with Shinobu? Oh, we sort of like, you know, skip past that, don't really focus on it. You know, aberration, cool, okay. Extermination, you know, is that actually how this is going to go? If it doesn't go that way, what happens with the other stuff? Like,
yeah, I think in looking back at like Bakemonogatari, for instance, the way almost all of the aberrations were, all the characters basically were saved from their aberrations and stuff was through understanding where the problem was.
Right.
And them essentially being willing to let go of it. Or maybe in some aspects to find a way to live with it. And that's something that I feel like we're heading towards, like, primarily. I feel like Ogi being reaped, essentially, you know, by like, you know,
Gein dual wielding heart span and dream span.
Yeah, that's just...
Yeah, no. Right. Because well, actually, Bake showed this when specific techniques and plot devices and things like that were used in order to solve the aberration problem. It was just the person isn't ready yet to properly solve it themselves, so we're going to give them a mechanical benefit to put it off until later, so that hopefully they'll be better equipped for it.
So they'll be able to grow by the time they face it again.
Exactly.
That it will be something that they can, they can defeat. Yeah.
So the fact that Gein is taking this angle seems really surprising, because Gein is the kind of person that in a lot of ways shouldn't really be surprised by anything, right?
Well, again, that's why one of the things with Gein that I feel like is really important to remember is that Gein is trying to give people stimuli by which they will solve it themselves at times. Like the way she asks Araragi, you know, why did you think that?
Let me ask a better question.
Yeah, she hears kind of in her head, that's what he's going to answer. That won't actually help him. So let's change the question.
Right.
And I feel like that's the kind of thing that a good, not just a good friend, but a good kind of wise kind of guidance counselor type person will give, is basically saying, no. I'm not trying to make you say a specific thing. I'm trying to ask a better question by which then you ask yourself good questions. And those questions that you ask yourself are really powerful if they
need to be genuine questions.
No, because it needs to be a genuine question, right? But there are things that you can ask someone that don't lead to just questions at all. They just lead to you kind of going, I said the right answer. I said the right answer. And I feel like that's maybe another element of how you beat Ogi. It's not just about having the right answer, which is kind of what, Ogi seems to be, is about like kind of being that kind of corrective thing that helps you kind of Hanakawa style, giving just the right answer.
Hence
it's like,
Hanakawa being the rival.
Right. It's what is the right question you need to be asking yourself, Araragi, because then you will then kind of guide or align yourself towards figuring out that question. I think kind of. But yeah, Hachikuji, just getting all this just lovely stuff with the character.
The idea of
a lot of good comedy with it.
Yes. Like the idea of Hachikuji being the one that now like, guide people and all that stuff. It's like, yes, this needed to happen. And then of course, the comedy of like, Hachikuji just sort of jumping over Yotsugi because why not? Right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Shinobu getting some much-needed revenge on Yotsugi for all of the insults when she was in her weaker form.
Yeah. What was the whole thing, though, with the three-way standoff, the snail being a superior version of a snake?
What I'm guessing is that that's something that's like a Japanese folktale or story or something like that. That's just a cultural thing.
Kaiki. So Kaiki,
right?
Kaiki basically defeated Sengoku,
right?
With the slug, basically in that regard. It was a little callback to Owarimonogatari,
right?
In that regard,
I'm guessing that maybe because it was something that, since Kaiki deals with fake stuff, exclusively, that by having it be tied to a what I'm guessing is some kind of common story or something like that, it had more power in the mind of the person he was interacting with,
I'm just wondering, like, this was a big reveal in the episode. Kind of a thing of like, oh, see? This is what Kaiki did, therefore kind of giving kind of credence as to why Hachikuji is the perfect person to take the position as a god in the shrine stuff. And I just feel like this is a mythological thing that ties into the deeper aspects of the show's like symbolism and imagery. But I don't know why a snail can swallow a snake.
Right. I'm guessing
I can see why, of course, she won't run wild like Sengoku just based on who Hachikuji is as a character. Yeah,
Hachikuji is super stable. Yeah.
In that, like, she has, like, wisdom that goes beyond, like, almost any of the other characters in the show, sans maybe, like, 2 other characters. And the times she's been with Araragi, she gives just so much of a presence to the conversations that always leads him just in a really, really good direction, despite her being the lost snail.
Right.
So, I love the comedy stuff for this, and
yeah, the puns were excellent.
The puns were fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably something that is just sort of lost in cultural translation, sort of. For us specifically, though. Yeah. So I would love to have a little bit of almost if this is the briefing, I want a debriefing on this reveal here. Gotcha.
On the whole slug snail thing there. I understand that they are the same species for sure, but I would love a debriefing personally on that, because that seems like something that just goes a little bit over my head. Yeah, I think that other than that, the beginning of this episode basically kind of tells us the ending again. Now, I believe we saw scenes similar to this when Ogi and Araragi were alone in that classroom.
Oh, when they were talking about Hachikuji leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Ogi's, within the show at least, the first time we saw her.
Right. So was that actually more along the lines of when...
Like foreshadowing for this?
Foreshadowing for her end.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This is just more of one of those things where I think it will give a lot more rewatch value to Monogatari.
Yeah.
Because, layers and layers, and as you watch it, things become more clear and yeah.
Cool. Another little thing of where, no, but I don't know anything though. As another cool thing there. Also, I think the OP that we got in this episode
fantastic.
Basically just kind of showed us the entire dynamic of what Ogi is in connection to Araragi. A shadow, a reflection, an inverted, aspect of Araragi. Hence, like the gender swap, the color scheme that she has, a lot of the stuff with regards to like how she moves and stuff, how like she I just think that was just a really cool way to show visually some stuff that we had already been, I would say, moving in that direction discussion wise and thoughts wise regarding who/what she is.
Also, the expressions this episode were absolutely on point. like
Hachikuji's smug thing as he dove for her boobs. Yes.
Well, and also just like
Shinobu chasing Yotsugi and having the
Yep, they were absolutely incredible.
Yeah. But in summation, it's time to confront Ogi, the Bakemono, and take things in some ways back to the beginning. Araragi, it's time to solve your aberration.
Right.
It's time to help you.
Yep.
You've been helping a lot of people over the course of the last year, but it's time to have this happen. I really feel like with all these characters here who have been some of the best like supporting characters, in some ways with Araragi, the people who have kind of
usually less focus on their own story and more focus on how they help.
And how they help Araragi. Right.
Yeah.
All just being there at the end with Gain and him.
Fantastic.
It's going to be so good.
I'm still a little bit worried about Shinobu, though, because, it seemed like one of those things of, like, kind of like in Kizu, of not everyone can be happy, and Hachikuji, this ending is one where she's perfectly happy, and we glanced over, like,
really
glossed over Shinobu,
Yeah.
So I don't know, because the idea of her being separate from Araragi, for Araragi moving into the next stage of his life, that makes sense. From
really
the coming
does.
of age story and everything, awesome. That being said, there are problems with Shinobu's existence as is, and I can't believe I didn't think of this until now, and that she'll need to eat people in this form.
Yep.
And she wants to be a little girl again. How does that get reconciled?
So does Araragi then sap all of her vampire energy into himself and he becomes a vampire? A full vampire?
Well, he's not a vampire right now, so I think if they could try and repeat it, but I think it would then just take it back to the way things were.
Yeah.
Unless there's a way to permanently make her a little girl. I didn't think about that too. Like, maybe.
Hey, we don't know what the powers of a god will be.
That's true. That's true.
It could be Hachikuji's first to act as a god.
Right. Yeah.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there, and any level support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. And you can also check out our Twitch channel.
Indeed. Mondays through Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific time, we stream, and it's awesome. The link's in the description. Mondays podcast Tuesday is One Piece manga readings. Wednesdays and Fridays, Caleb does gaming.
I'm playing Hades.
Yep, and on Thursdays, I do gaming, which right now is Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.